How has the philosophical concept of the gentle art manifested in your life outside of the gym? I really like that question. I think just in jujitsu and the gentle art in general, um, outside the gym, let's see. What? It's a lot of things. I think the whole concept of patience when you're on the mats really carries over to the stressors of life. You know, like when you're doing a one-on-one and when you're doing a Shark Tank on the mats, you're forced to be patient and use the technique and learn to understand your surroundings. And that kind of carries over to my life and just to life in general, where the stressors of what goes on outside the mats, whether you're dealing with troubles of XYZ, it kind of carries that concept of like patience is a virtue and patience is important, where you really have to understand the situation and stay calm at all costs. And I think that aspect that I have of the gentle art, like being cautious and aware and waiting to make that right decision, carries over really well with my off mat complications. So I would say that's would be my answer to that question. Oh, I like this one. What is the biggest difference between how you approach training now versus when you were a white belt? Oh, bro. I'll tell you, when I was a white belt, it was always so. When I was a white belt, it was a different chapter in my life where I was juggling like daily jujitsu at the same time of like daily gym and daily like physical activity. So I was very strength heavy as a white belt, right? Let me just double check this question. Biggest difference? Okay, approach training. So when I was a white belt, how I approached training was coaches, professors, and everyone was always saying, like be patient, use someone else's strength against them, like all the foundational things you learn on your first days, weeks, months of jujitsu. Right, I threw that out the can as a white belt. I was like, you know what? I bench this, I squat this, I do this. I'm gonna take advantage of that and thrash, right? And then that was just me being a little closed-minded and but at the same time really excited and passionate about jujitsu. I'm not trying to say that was a toxic trait, but I was really excited about like how I found jujitsu, and I liked the feeling of being allowing someone to like stay because they tapped and making that conscious decision. Okay, you tapped, I'm gonna let you go, right? Like that little ego kind of creeps up on you as a white belt. So I guess I had to be humbled as a white belt really fast. So that mindset lasted maybe 2 to 3 months hidden until that had to change really fast, right? So over time, life happens, etc., and things happen where I really had to shift my mindset in rolling, and it happened towards the end of me being a white belt and then transitioning to blue belt and just my jujitsu like timeline in general, where I really had to, I really decided to think first, right? Think first before making an executive decision, right? And that's how I kind of do with life as well. But how I was always act first in white belt for when it came to a little more senior, a little more blue belt. It was very like think first before you do anything, right? Because any decision, even if it's like the perfect A B C 1 2 3 decision, one hasty mistake, it's done, right? Like you can either have a stronger opponent, a mat smarter opponent, or even just bad luck. And that's how I learned, like being a blue belt or just being after being a white belt, just think first before you do anything. That's how I approach it now versus headstrong as a white belt. So single most underrated aspect of jujitsu as a self-defense system. Okay, so I think, that's hard nowadays, because like 5 years ago, 10 years ago, someone would say jujitsu and there was a bunch of initial stereotypes about jujitsu just because it wasn't as mainstream as it is now. Like I know I try to talk to you about jujitsu at my work and at life in general, and everyone knows about it, right? But I would say that one of the things that is still a misconception to this day is the fact that like, oh, you have to be like an A1 D1 athlete, or oh, like you're going to get hurt, right, like the first day, or you're going to get bullied, etc. And those are just like initial understandable fears, right? Be doing something new and breaking into something you don't know about, and seeing everyone like either athletic or aggressive or very technical, kind of going thrashing at it at the mats. I totally get that for anyone like watching this and anyone like still scared of jujitsu. I would have to defend that though, where jujitsu is just I wouldn't even call it a sport. It's more so a beautiful art, right? Like the gentle art. The reason why it's called a gentle art is because it kind of, for me, in my opinion, it kind of goes away from all the thrashing stereotypes of like grappling, martial arts or grappling sports in general, or combat sports in general, right? It's the gentle art of being able to be like water. Not just kidding. Just no. It's I would say like biggest misconception is that it's like so thrashy and it's very aggressive. You have to be athletic. That's not the case. Don't worry about it. I'm not athletic. To me it's like chess, where it's just like as long as you want to play, as long as you want to roll, and as long as you come in with good vibes, like you're gonna have fun. You're not gonna get hurt as long as you stay safe, right? Everyone's there to help you grow and help you stay, because we want you to join our family, right? So as long as you do that, and as long as you come in with open arms and open minds, you'll be good. If you were coaching a beginner for a first-time competition, what is the one non-technical piece of advice you would give them about their mindset on the day of the event? Oh, that's hard too, because the mindset's everywhere. Like the first day of competition, it doesn't even matter if it's your first competition or 10th competition. 9 times out of 10, 8 times out of 10, like you're secretly frantic, you're secretly nervous still, right? So I don't take everything with a grain of salt, yeah. So, but I would say if I were to give one piece of advice for something non-technical, and it's as cliche as it sounds, I would just say have fun with it, right? And that's going to be the answer for like half of the people you ask. But have fun with it. You paid to be at this event. Sooner or later, like your competitors are going to be your friends, because you're going to fall in love with jiu-jitsu to the point where you're visiting your competition at the gym, not to thrash and be aggressive, but to actually like break bread with each other, right? So like have fun with it. Find some friends on the mats and grow your family and community in jiu-jitsu, because that's all we're here for, right? The competition's a plus, not a requirement, that's for sure. And it's just something that you add on to your utility belt as, hey, I competed XYZ, right? It's something fun that you add on to, but have fun with it in general. That's all martial arts is something to learn some sort of defense, something to join the family in, but overall, just have fun with it. All right, most reliable escape you rely on when you get caught in your opponent's strongest pin. So a lot of times when I'm on my back, when I'm already tired, gassed out after roll number XYZ, I'm on my back, everyone wants to like pin me on like top heavy, yeah? So my number one escape I like doing is slowly oomping. Like usually I force them to kind of be on my right side. So I slowly oompa a little more to my right side. So that way they think like I'm gonna try to escape like from the behind or something, etc. like that. And then I try to pivot where I oompa one side, they react to it by going a little more to my left. And then with that momentum, I usually grab a thigh. And usually I'm in half guard with this, but if I'm not in half guard, I still try to grab like a thick part of the thigh, and then I full oompa to the other side with that momentum. So again, with jiu-jitsu, a great thing to do is use their momentum against them. And I'm very, unless you roll with Jesse, no, just kidding. What I like doing is using their secondary momentum against them. So I use the first reaction to see where they're going, like kind of slightly test it out. And then if I notice them doing it like 1 or 2 times, that third time I already have something planned out where once they do that, I'm pivot to wherever they're going. So it's not a specific move, but it's just the momentum strategy of when they pin me, I force a semi-escape upa, and then I use that space that I'm given to trick them to go to the other side using the momentum. So that's what I like doing. However, whether it's like a head and arm, a side control pin, or just anything top heavy, I like doing that. And then if they're too low, of course, if they're too low for me, I like using the legs. That helps a lot. If they're too low on the hips, I just hook them with my knees. In a scramble, what is your primary objective? To gain position or prevent your opponent from gaining position? Also depends too, yeah. Depends how tired I am, who it is. It's like, that's the cool thing about jiu-jitsu. It's kind of like chess, where it's like you could do everything right, but at the same time, like one move against you could just change the whole game. So you really have to kind of diversify your strategy and everything. But for me, my go-to in a scramble is to usually prevent my opponent from gaining position, just because I know my facets and I know my attributes in regards to like a scramble. And 9 times out of 10, my reaction is like a millisecond slower than theirs. So I already pivot to the strategy of assuming, yes, they're faster, so I'm going to find where they're going to counteract what they're doing, but not going against them, but kind of counteract where they're going. Whether it's like they're scrambling and trying to circle it around, so I just do a quick foot sweep, yeah, or they're trying to do like some like white belt like football jukebox thing where they're trying to play with you, and then you just grab their ankles and let them fall. So it really just depends. But my play is very reactive, yeah. So I, instead of like trying to gain that top position after a scramble, I wait and see to what they're doing, and then I react to that. So I would say that would be on a scramble. When you're passing a tough guard, what is the single most important control point you must win first? So when someone says guard and without like a specific of it, I always assume closed guard, just because strength in a closed guard is not everything, but is huge, right? So for me, in a closed guard, the most important control point for me is their hips and hands. I wouldn't separate the two. I would make sure at least I have some sort of control on one of their hips, but most definitely, actually, you know what? I would prioritize hand control over anything else. Yeah, yeah, hand control over anything else for that. No explanation there. That's just a preference. Oh, what is one principle or concept you had to unlearn from white belt to progress to your current rank? But I would say strength. I had to be humble, Jesse. I had to be humbled so fast just because when I was a white belt, for the majority of the time, I was lifting. I don't lift now, but I was lifting back then, and I was lifting. I was proud of it, etc. And I really entered the mats wanting to win, and that's no fault of my own. Like, that's a beginner's mistake where you come in, you see a lot of alphas, a lot of people rolling, a lot of people having fun, but at the same time like thrashing and being strategically aggressive. So you want to be part of that hype, you want to be part of that vibe. And since I was new, the only thing I knew how to do was, you know, lift heavy things and put it back down. So at that time I was really taking advantage of my strength. And what was the question? Okay, so I had to unlearn that, right? So I unlearned that the hard way when I was a white belt, where I had like a blue belt or purple belt who was like half my weight, really humbled me in a technical manner, just because I kept trying to muscle everything, and then he showed me like, dude, you don't need, I mean, take it with a grain of salt, but he was just saying you don't need that much muscle to succeed in jiu-jitsu, right? And then he just demolished me with a rear naked choke to a north-south to a tornado lapel choke, and I just got destroyed. But I really had to unlearn using majority strength for just because I know people do it like in every belt rank or at every rank, but for me, I personally needed to unlearn that because I wanted to be progressive in my strategy and my technique. Just because I know myself, my body, my way of life, who I am as a person compared to my work, if everything really that envelops who I am. I knew who I am, I know who I am, and I know in the outside the mats, if things were to happen, there are a lot of scenarios where people are stronger than me, right? So I needed to really learn and improve on understanding the environment and strictly using like strategic technique. Just because, I mean, muscle's there, strength will be there, you can use it, sure, but for me, technique's everything, and yeah, that's pretty much it.